Right, so welcome back to another video on this channel, and today we have another tier list video. Now, it has been quite a while since I've done one of these tier lists, but in today's tier list video, I'm going to be ranking every single Premier League goalkeeper from best to worst. So yeah, essentially, as you can see on your screen right now, these are the tiers we are going to be ranking these goalkeepers on. Now, the bottom tier, as you can probably see, is above his level, so a goalkeeper that is, not going to lie, probably championship standard. The second one down compared to the rest, which of course means that compared to the rest of the players above them, they're not quite at the level compared to those goalkeepers. Then we have he's decent, so obviously he's a decent goalkeeper. Then we have what a keeper, so a goalkeeper that you look at and go, wow, what a keeper. And then the top one, of course, we have world class as per usual. So yeah, let's get into ranking every single Premier League club's goalkeeper from best to worst. Starting off with Arsenal, who of course is goalkeeper at this moment in time is Bernd Leno. Now, to be honest, he hasn't had the best of seasons, if I'm being perfectly honest. I mean, he has looked quite shaky between the sticks for Arsenal, and there has been question marks over whether or not they actually should have sold him instead of Emiliano Martinez in the summer, because of course Martinez came in for Leno at the back end of last season when Leno picked up that injury against Brighton last season. And I think one thing that you just can't forget is he has been very, very reliable between the sticks for Arsenal over the years since they signed him in 2018, and overall I think he's been a massive bargain for them, and overall that is why I've put him in the what a keeper section, simply because I think he's a very, very consistent goalkeeper. He's a very good shot stopper who makes some absolutely brilliant saves at times, and yeah, I think he deserves to be in that tier. Now we move on to Aston Villa, and another goalkeeper that is in fact related to Arsenal, as I just mentioned there talking about Leno, and that is of course Emiliano Martinez, who did sign for Aston Villa for £20 million in the summer from Arsenal, and never really made his name in the Premier League or for Arsenal, of course, since the back end of last season, as I said, when Leno picked up that injury. But to be honest, I thought he came in and he was absolutely brilliant, as most people know. He was a brilliant shot stopper. You know, he gave confidence to that back four of Arsenal at the back end of last season, which of course is one of the main things you need in a goalkeeper, is actually to give confidence to your back four. Not to mention as well the fact that he's very experienced, and overall I think that the fact that Aston Villa got him for £20 million was an absolute steal. And yeah, it's finally good that he's playing regular football in the Premier League now, and that's why I've put him alongside Bernd Leno in the what a keeper section, simply because I think he's a very, very good goalkeeper. Next up we move on to Brighton and Matt Ryan, of course, the Australian goalkeeper. Now for me, Matt Ryan is a bit of a 50-50, because I do think he's pretty much an average goalkeeper in the Premier League, if I'm being perfectly honest. He can produce some very, very good saves at time, and at times will keep Brighton in games, but overall I don't think he's the best of goalkeepers in the Premier League. I think I might be being a bit harsh on Matt Ryan, because overall, as I mentioned, I pretty much think he is the average goalkeeper in the Premier League, and overall I think it would be way too harsh to put him in above his level, and that is why I've put him in compared to the rest, simply because I think compared to the rest of the goalkeepers I've got ahead of him in this video, he's not quite at that level. Now we move on to Nick Pope of Burnley. Now, in my opinion, the definition of a goalkeeper who has his moments, because on his day I don't think anyone will doubt he can be absolutely world class. The one thing I do like about Nick Pope is that he's a very consistent performer. He's got a very good figure to him, and overall he gives a lot of confidence to this Burnley back four, who of course need it with the defensive system they do play. And yeah, overall I think he's a very consistent shot stopper, but the only reason why I haven't put him higher in this tier list, and probably the only reason why he's not playing for a bigger club, is simply because of his ability with his feet, because if I'm being perfectly honest, he's absolutely terrible with his feet. Of course, that isn't really needed at Burnley, being good with your feet, but overall I think that's probably the reason why he's not playing at a higher level in terms of football. But overall I've put him slap bang in the middle in he's decent. Now we move on to my goalkeeper, Eduard Mendy of Chelsea. Now obviously signed from Rennes for around £22 million in the summer, and what an absolute steal that looks to be, because so far he's come in and just completely revolutionised this defence for us. 5 clean sheets in 6 Premier League games so far, only 1 goal conceded, and yeah, as I said, that price tag is looking like an absolute steal right now, because himself, Thiago Silva and Ben Chilwell have looked to really shore up this defence, which was very, very leaky last season. Things I like about Mendy: he's very commanding, he's a very big presence, he's very vocal, and overall I think he's been absolutely wonderful for us this season. Now obviously it's very early days in his Chelsea career, but from what I've seen from him so far, he's an absolutely phenomenal shot stopper, and that is why I put him in the what a keeper section. Now we move on to Vicente Guyta of Crystal Palace. Now, not gonna lie, one that's kind of dropped off in recent years, and for when he started off with Crystal Palace in 2018, I thought he was very, very good and very consistent between the sticks for Crystal Palace. But yeah, I do think he's kind of dropped off in the last year or so, but in saying that, I think he's still a very consistent shot stopper, and also is very experienced as well, so he very much has a role in this Crystal Palace team still. And I'm going to compare him to Matt Ryan in this one, because I do think he's quite an average Premier League goalkeeper at the age of 33 years of age now, which he is, and overall I think it'd be very harsh to put him in the bottom section, hence why I've put him in the compared to the rest section, again like Matt Ryan, because I think it would be way too harsh to put him in the bottom section in this video. Now we move on to Jordan Pickford of Everton. Now where do I start with Jordan Pickford, because he was unbelievable for Sunderland, and then obviously he's made his name off that 2018 World Cup where he was very, very good for England, but since then he's just been absolutely horrendous for Everton. I mean, he's erratic, he's just completely reckless, I think is the word I'd use to describe him. The one thing about Jordan Pickford as well that you could hold against him, he's massively inconsistent, he doesn't command this confidence back into the Everton backline whatsoever, and that is why I just simply feel the need to put him in the bottom section, simply because of all those reasons. I don't think he's at the level required for an Everton goalkeeper, and maybe not even in the Premier League nowadays, if I'm honest. Now we move on to Fulham, whose goalkeeper is of course the French World Cup winner, might I add Alphonse Areola. Now, he's a goalkeeper that I'm not going to lie, I thought was going to flop when he came to the Premier League at first. But my God, has he proved me wrong, because he's made some absolutely monumental saves so far for Fulham. He's been a very consistent shot stopper. He's got a very big frame to him once again. He's very good with his feet as well, which is obviously required in the Scott Parker system that they do play. He's a very consistent shot stopper and probably has won Fulham a lot of points this season so far as well. He is obviously only on loan from Paris Saint-Germain, but I do think if Fulham stay up somehow, I think they will obviously be begging to keep him on the permanent deal, and that is why I've put him in the middle section in this video, because I think he's a very decent Premier League goalkeeper. Now we move on to Leeds United, and their goalkeeper is another Frenchman, and that is Illan Meslier. Now, let me just tell you here, you guys are absolutely sleeping on this man, because he is going to be an absolutely top goalkeeper one day, mark my words. He's only 20 years of age, he's got the height on his side, he's magnificent on the ball for a young goalkeeper, he looks very, very experienced for his age, and not only that, with his hands he's unbelievable as well. He's an absolutely brilliant shot stopper. One thing I have noticed from his little time in the Premier League so far is he's very, very brave when going in for challenges. He will make the odd mistake every now and then, but I think that's just something that comes at a young age, and I think he's got absolutely bucket loads of potential, and yeah, as I said at the start of this one, I think he will be an absolutely top goalkeeper one day, and yeah, hold me to that, because I think this guy is going to go places in the world of football. Okay, so now we move on to Casper Schmeichel of Leicester. Now, a goalkeeper who I think is another one who is very, very underrated in the Premier League, because again, he is a Premier League champion. I think people forget at times. I think he's a very consistent shot stopper. He's capable of making very good saves, and overall don't think makes much mistakes in the Premier League. Obviously, he's got that experience being a Premier League champion. I think he's quite good with his feet as well, and overall, I think he's probably, like Martinez, one of the top 2 Premier League goalkeepers outside the top 6, and I think another one who's very, very underrated, and that is why I've put him in the what a keeper section in this video. Now on to Liverpool and their goalkeeper Alisson. Now, a controversial opinion check, because I do think Alisson is just a little bit, just slightly overrated if I'm being perfectly honest. I just feel like he's never really tested because of the strength of this Liverpool's back four, and even when he is tested, I do think he concedes goals where he perhaps should do better and probably should save them. In saying that though, I am going to contradict myself completely and claim that he is world class, because I do think he is world class if I'm being perfectly honest. What he's added to this Liverpool back four just in terms of presence is absolutely brilliant. I think he is a very good shot stopper, contrary to what I just said there in the video. And overall, the main thing in terms of a goalkeeper is the fact that he gives a lot of confidence to this Liverpool back four, especially one that is so, you know, injured at the moment if I'm being perfectly honest. So yeah, I've put Alisson in the world class section, deservedly so. Now we move on to Ederson of Manchester City. Now he is a goalkeeper that does like a mistake every now and then. I think everybody knows at this stage that Ederson can be a bit error prone at times. In saying that though, he's absolutely incredible with his feet, and he does have a tendency to make world class saves, and sometimes actually does keep City in games, and does win them a lot of points here and there. And to be honest, I think he's completely revolutionised this City back four that were so poor in Pep Guardiola's first season in 16-17, and overall I have to put him in the world class section simply because I think he's actually one of the most underrated goalkeepers in the Premier League, simply because he makes a lot of errors, yes, but he makes up for that with his incredible shot stopping ability at times and his ability with his feet on the ball. Now on to Manchester United and David De Gea. Now I don't think it'll be any argument whatsoever that De Gea has declined in recent years, and if I'd done this video 3 or 4 years ago, I think I put De Gea in the world class section with no questions asked. But yeah, as I said, in the last year or two, he has developed a bit of a trait for being error prone if I'm being perfectly honest. He's made a lot of mistakes in the last year or two. However, in saying that, I do think he's actually not been too bad this season. He hasn't really made any mistakes of note yet this season, and overall I think he's a top shot stopper, and to be honest, I think it'd be very disrespectful if I put him anywhere lower than the what a keeper section. So yeah, that's where I've put him, and I think on his day he is world class goalkeeper, but I think his day might just be in the past now, unfortunately. Now on to Newcastle and Martin Dubravka. Now obviously Dubravka has been injured for some time now, and Karl Darlow has stepped in his place, and actually done very well between the sticks for Newcastle this season, I have to say. But let's not forget how good of a goalkeeper Dubravka is, because I think he's a very good shot stopper. He's decent enough with his feet, even though it's not really needed in this Newcastle system. He's a very solid mid-table goalkeeper. I think he's a consistent performer, and overall I think he's a very, very good option for Newcastle in between the sticks, and normally wins Newcastle a few points over the course of the season as well. And yeah, as I said, I think a lot of people are forgetting how good Dubravka is simply because of the fact that Darlow's doing so well at the moment, and that is why I've put Dubravka in the middle section in the he's decent section. Now on to Sheffield United and Aaron Ramsdale. Now not gonna lie, one that I don't really rate if I'm being perfectly honest, because I just think he's been a massive downgrade on Dean Henderson at Sheffield United this season, and to be honest, one of the main reasons why Sheffield United are struggling so much this season. Don't get me wrong, he will make good saves here and there, and he has his good games, but overall I think he's not really the best of goalkeepers in the Premier League, and that is why I have to put him in the bottom section, simply because I do think he's of championship standard. He's still young and obviously could improve, but yeah, I think at this moment in time he is championship standard, and that's why I put him in the above his level section. Now onto Southampton and their goalkeeper Alex McCarthy. Now he's one that has had a very, very good season actually this season for Southampton, and over the years actually has been quite a consistent performer between the sticks for Southampton. He's decent enough with his feet, he has the potential to make some phenomenal saves at times. I mean, some of the saves he makes are absolutely brilliant. He is kind of error prone at times, but overall I think he's kind of stamped that out of his game to the most part. But overall I think he's a very consistent goalkeeper for Southampton, and overall quite a decent shot stopper, and that is why I've put him alongside Dubravka in the middle section in the he's decent section, because I think he's a very decent Premier League goalkeeper. Now on to Hugo Larisse of Tottenham. Now one that I'm just going to say straight off the bat, I think he's absolutely criminally underrated. I mean, he's an absolutely world-class shot stopper. He's capable of making absolutely world-class saves for Tottenham. I think he's a very, very good shot stopper. He's a very consistent shot stopper, and one of the main things I would hold against Larisse over the recent years is the fact that he is quite error-prone at times. But I think over the last year or two, he has kind of stamped that out a bit, and overall I think he's one of the top goalkeepers in the Premier League at this moment in time, and that is why I think I have to put him in the world-class section alongside Ederson and Ederson. He's good with his feet as well. He's very experienced. Of course, he is a World Cup winning captain with France, so overall I think Larisse is very, very underrated. Now on to Sam Johnston of West Brom. Obviously, he just got promoted last season with them, and so far another goalkeeper who is having a very good season for West Brom. Kept a lot of clean sheets, made a lot of very good saves in the process. He's actually kept West Brom in a lot of games this season in a West Brom defence that do look solid at times, but in other times can look very shaky as well. He's got a very massive presence as well in terms of his overall figure, but overall I think I have to put him in the bottom section simply because I do still think he is championship standard, and maybe that's me being a bit harsh, but yeah, there you go. I think Sam Johnston is a decent goalkeeper, but probably not at Premier League level compared to the goalkeepers I've got ahead of him in this tier list. Now the second last goalkeeper in this list, and that is of course Lucas Fabianski of West Ham. Now I'm not going to lie, I really do like Fabianski. I thought he was absolutely class at Swansea until they got relegated, and then he's carried over that form into West Ham because I think he's been very good over the years for them as well. He's capable of making absolutely brilliant saves. I think he's a very good goalkeeper in terms of his overall shot stopping ability. He can make the odd mistake every now and then, but overall I think he's very experienced. He's a very good shot stopper, as I said, and I think he has to go in the middle section in this video because I do think he's a very decent goalkeeper. He is getting on a bit, but I think he's still at that level where he can perform on a weekly basis for West Ham, and that is why I've put him in that section. And now the final goalkeeper in this video, and that is Wolves' Rui Patricio. Now I'm not going to lie, one that is particularly overrated by some Premier League fan bases, just narrowly I'd say, because he is playing in a team where he's not really tested, because I think Wolves are one of the teams in the Premier League that don't really concede a lot of shots. He's not really an incredible goalkeeper, but in saying that I actually do kind of rate him a bit because I do think he's capable of making some absolutely brilliant saves, but at the same time I do think he concedes goals where perhaps he should do better. But overall I think he's a very solid goalkeeper, and that is why I've put him in the he's decent section, simply because I think he's a very decent Premier League level goalkeeper, and yeah, I think he deserves to be in that section. So yeah, that is my tier list done now. As you can see on your screen, that is the final tier list we have gone for. If you disagree or agree with any of the selections I've gone for in this video, please make sure to let me know down in the comment section below. I'm very interested to see how you guys think this tier list will go in your opinion. And yeah, that is where we're going to leave this video. So if you did enjoy, make sure to leave a like on the video. Between 10 to 15 likes would be absolutely massively appreciated by myself. Also make sure to subscribe to the channel if you are new as well, because we are looking to hit 800 subscribers as soon as we possibly can. And yeah, I'll see you guys in my next video. See ya.